Hello, friends. Welcome to Recap Stories. Today, we'll talk about a captivating story. The story begins with a boy named Handy, who lives in the city of Barcelona, Spain. Handy works in a garage and is trying to improve how he fulfills his responsibilities. One day, his boss, Tony, visits the garage. Tony turns off the radio and exclaims that all this is nonsense because soon aliens will take over the world, and humanity will become their slaves. Meanwhile, we are introduced to Alina, a character who wants to surprise her father. Alina's father is a researcher currently working in a freezing region called Kufa. When Alina arrives there, she is shocked by the extreme cold, which was far greater than what she had expected. Alina's father discusses with his colleagues how this extreme weather is nature's revenge. He warns that if humans do not take corrective measures soon, everything will be destroyed. Alina secretly records their conversation on her phone to save it for later. After meeting her father, Alina goes to meet Handy, who is her English learning student. Handy's mother praises Alina, saying that Handy is learning English very well under her guidance. Suddenly, some boys arrive and start bullying Handy. Handy's mother chases them away, but before leaving, they threaten to return. A few days later, the boys return and harass Handy even more. This time, they try to force him into a pool of water. Alina happens to be passing by and rushes to save Handy, but the boys push him into the water before she can intervene. Handy doesn't know how to swim and starts sinking. Alina immediately jumps into the water to rescue him. As they descend into the water, Alina notices some glowing objects that emit electric waves. Fortunately, the waves do not affect them because they are too deep underwater. When they surface, they discover that everything around them has changed drastically. The environment is filled with scenes of destruction, and lightning bolts are striking from the sky. Alina holds Handy close and leads him away from the chaos. Along the way, Handy looks toward his house, which has been completely burned down. He sees his mother's lifeless body lying amidst the rubble. The sight breaks Handy's heart, and he insists on going to his mother, but Alina stops him and takes him to a safer place where her father is conducting his research. The next morning, Alina and Handy step outside. Alina heads to her home to collect whatever belongings she can salvage. She uses a solar charger to power her phone, hoping to get some information about the situation. Alina tries to call her father, but there's no response because everything has been destroyed. She assumes that the catastrophe might have only affected certain regions. She asks Handy to try a video call, but that doesn't work either. Determined to find others, they head toward the city, hoping to find survivors. However, upon reaching the city, they are overwhelmed with shock and fear. The once thriving city is now in ruins. Dead bodies, debris, and shattered buildings are all they can see. Alina realizes that the destruction is not limited to the city but might have spread across the entire world. Despite this realization, Alina doesn't lose hope. She believes that someone must have survived. She finds a scooter and attempts to leave the city. On the way, the scooter hits a rock, causing her to fall. A sharp object pierces her abdomen, leaving her injured. Unable to continue, she returns home. At home, she cleans her wound and starts documenting her experiences. Meanwhile, she stumbles upon her old diary, in which she often used to pen her thoughts. Reading through the pages, she recalls her father's words and realizes their profound truth. After some contemplation, she decides to rest for a while. At night, Handy notices Alina's wound and becomes deeply concerned. He tells her that he plans to go out to get antibiotics, but Alina forbids him, pointing out the late hour and the dangers outside. Respecting her wishes, Handy agrees to stay. However, once Alina falls asleep, Handy secretly ventures out in search of the medicine. It's his first time stepping out alone at night, but he musters up his courage and proceeds. By morning, Alina feels significant improvement in her wound. She is relieved and smiles, while Handy approaches her and hugs her tightly. Alina is now his only hope, as he has no one else left in the world. At night, Alina resumes recording her experiences. Over time, Handy begins to deeply miss his mother. Her absence is a constant ache in his heart. One day, as he works near a tractor, he notices bloodstains on his bed sheet. Alarmed, he frantically searches for Alina, fearing something dreadful has happened to her. After some time, he finds her and immediately asks, "Are you okay? What happened?" Alina smiles and reassures him, saying, "I'm perfectly fine. I was just lost in thought for a moment." Both Handy and Alina live in a desolate world where no other human seems to have survived. One day, Handy notices blood on Alina's abdomen. Panicking, he asks her if she's hurt. Alina calmly explains, "It's nothing serious. These are my periods, a natural process that every girl goes through. It's completely normal." Hearing this, Handy breathes a sigh of relief, and the two continue with their routine. One day, Alina finds Handy practicing with a gun. She rushes to stop him and asks, "Why are you doing this?" Handy replies, "This is for your safety because I am the only man in this household now." Understanding his concern, Alina asks him to be cautious while handling the weapon. Days turn into weeks, and Alina uses her childhood survival skills to manage the difficult circumstances. Handy matures and takes on more responsibilities. Their bond grows stronger over time, but Alina always tries to conceal her feelings. One day, Handy suddenly kisses her while she's cooking and then walks away. Alina doesn't say a word but smiles quietly. One fateful night, a severe storm destroys their small farm and garden. Despite their efforts, they can't repair the damage. Handy manages to fix an old tractor, which had been his childhood dream. Alina, elated, hugs him, and together they set out toward Barcelona's city center. Upon arriving, they are greeted by scenes of devastation and emptiness. Alina attempts to call her father, but there's no response. Handy comforts her, urging her not to lose hope. While exploring the city, Handy kicks a goal at a deserted stadium, which Alina records. Their connection deepens, and one day, they confess their feelings for each other. Alina tells Handy that they might be this generation's Adam and Eve since no one else seems to have survived. Months pass, and Alina reveals that she is pregnant. The news brings immense joy to both. They build a new home by the sea, a place of hope and renewal. Using books from an abandoned library, Alina prepares herself for childbirth, as they have no one else to rely on. Handy supports her throughout, and soon they welcome a baby boy into the world, naming him Adam. One day, while by the sea, Alina spots a boat approaching from the horizon. She screamed with joy. However, Handy stopped her, saying that they didn't need anyone anymore. Alina and Handy had faced many challenges during their journey. One day, a stranger arrived on the island. Alina assumed that this might be the person mentioned earlier. The stranger, Sergey, lived on an abandoned island and ventured out weekly to search for humans. Alina and Handy welcomed him warmly and offered him delicious food, which greatly impressed him, and he started praising them. When Sergey was about to leave, Alina invited him to stay on the island, assuring him that all basic necessities were available there. Hearing this, Handy felt displeased as he didn't want anyone else near them. Sensing Handy's unhappiness, Sergey decided to leave but expressed his wish to hug them both before departing. Years had passed, and he hadn't felt human presence closely. Alina and Handy fulfilled his request, which brought tears to Sergey's eyes. Moved by his emotions, they allowed him to stay. Sergey taught Handy various essential skills, like how to light a fire, grow food independently, and principles of survival. However, one day, Handy noticed Sergey giving Alina suspicious looks. Handy immediately decided that Sergey needed to leave. Although Sergey was upset, he offered them a night on his boat in exchange for all the help they had given him. Alina accepted the offer, and Handy reluctantly joined her. On the boat, they spent a beautiful night watching the stars and fell into a deep sleep. By morning, Handy woke up and realized the boat was far from the shore. He quickly woke Alina, but Sergey attacked him from behind, pushing him into the water. Later, Sergey also threw Alina into the sea and escaped with the boat. Somehow, Alina and Handy swam back to the shore, but their boat and hopes had vanished with Sergey. Handy was furious, blaming Alina for trusting Sergey. Alina apologized and assured Handy that she had seen the island Sergey was heading to on a map. They decided to pursue him. Handy began searching for a boat, eventually repairing an old one that became usable within a few days. Together, they reached the island where Sergei had fled. They saw houses in the distance and soon spotted Sergei. Alina suggested shooting him, but Handy disagreed, wanting to avoid revealing their plan. Handy asked Alina to retrieve Adam while he kept an eye on Sergei. As Alina tried to sneak toward Adam, Sergei caught her. He tied up both Alina and Handy in a net and said, "I never intended to harm you. We could have lived peacefully as a family, but you betrayed me." Alina apologized and offered to stay with Sergei if he released Adam. After a brief pause, Sergei agreed and took her to Adam, saying, "From now on, you're my wife." When Sergei approached Handy, Alina took Adam and ran away. Sergei didn't chase them, believing that harming Handy would bring Alina back. That's exactly what happened. Alina returned, apologizing, but Sergei, enraged, shot her in the leg, saying, "You deceived me." Meanwhile, Handy struggled to free himself from the ropes. As Sergei prepared to kill Alina, Handy attacked him from behind. A fierce fight ensued. A gunshot rang out, hitting Handy in the chest. Before falling, Handy stabbed Sergei with a knife, killing him. Alina watched Handy collapse and wept uncontrollably. She wondered how she would survive without him. But perhaps it was destiny. Handy passed away, leaving Alina utterly shattered. Yet, she knew she had to live for her son, Adam. Years later, Adam grew up, playing football like his father. Alina showed him Handy's videos and said, "You must cherish your father's memories and live with his legacy." The story ends here. Please let us know your thoughts in the comments below. I request you to help us reach 10,000 subscribers on our channel soon. We hope you liked this video and will give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe to our channel and leave your loving comments. Thank you so much, and see you in the next video.